How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Marvel's What If Alien issue number 1. Right off the bat, I heard about this and I thought that's a really interesting concept, is the classic Marvel what if story, but why not into one of their movie tie-ins? This one is about the character Carter Burke and how the alien's aftermath would have been different had he have survived his adventure. And it is pretty interesting. I do like it being more tied into the Aliens movie than some of the past comics were. I mean, all the comics were Alien books, but this one references the movies a lot more, and I do really like that direct reference, getting to see characters from the movies actually drawn on the book. That's pretty great. And I did like where it went eventually. I do want to say, like, the most part of the first part of this book is kind of just drawing Carter Burke in the background, having him sneak around during the events of Aliens and not having people notice he's alive. And that's okay, but it's when you get to the big break-off point, when you really get to see things change. He makes this deal with Weyland-Yutani in order to get out, and then it cuts to a little bit of time later, and it gets to this aftermath section. I don't want to spoil too much of what's going on here, but it really does get into this whole different and wacky side story with what happens to the character afterwards. And I thought that was fun, and I am curious to see what happens to him. But that being said, I wish we got more of running around and changing things within the actual continuity of the movie. I think that would have been cooler, and I wish we got to see like more of Ripley and Hicks and Newt and stuff like that. But, you know, you don't get to see terribly much of them once you diverge so far, and I think it is interesting enough. I do wish it was more movie-tied, but I am curious, because it gets to its own basically unique story, and I am curious what they'll do with this character in this new world, and I am curious, like, how long each of these stories are going to be as well. Overall, I think it's an interesting book. I did like the little bit of connections to the movie we got. I just wish it was more intertwined within the actual movie itself, and we got to see the crazy split-offs there, rather than in this, like, sort of sequel setting, you know? Anyway, it's a good book. It could have been better in some ways, but I think it's interesting, and I really am curious where this is going, and I do love the idea that they came up with a what if, but for the Aliens universe, and I am curious if they do more what ifs, what those will be like. Anyway, if you guys want to see me talk a little bit more about this book, I'll switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys some of the story and some of the art, but I'll be trying to avoid major spoilers, and sadly that will mean me not talking about the weird sequel section, but whatever. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at What If? Aliens, number 1. Right off the bat, a pretty cool cover. I do love the balance and color here with the xenomorph, then his vest, and then pulling you up into the title. A cool blue and yellow. And that knife there, that's pretty fun. And yeah, gotta see him with the alien queen above him. That's cool. And we get to see the pitch up here on the front of the book. What if Carter Burke had lived, co-written with the actor himself, Paul Reiser? That's a fun little pitch. 20th Century Studios, Marvel, number 1, and 00111, $4.99, and good old parental advisory right there. Anyway, if we crack this open, we get this sort of a previously on page, kind of reminding you aliens, and then it tells you kind of where in the story, because we do jump into the middle of Aliens, and this kind of helps you orient yourself. And then after that, we get a long credits. Part 1 written by Hans Ridolf and Adam F. Goldberg, but you get the created by section, and that's where it lists Paul and Leon Reiser, as well as Brian Volk-Weiss. So yeah, that's a lot. And then the artist is Guiu Vilanova. Sorry if I mispronounced any of those names, but yeah, that's quite kind of a long credit block there. But yeah, at least they have the previously on. This really helps me orient myself. But then after that, we get into the story proper. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I do want to take a moment, look around, talk a bit about the story, and, say my piece on a few plot points. So, no major spoilers, but let's look in a little deeper. We open up right where they realize that Burke's the enemy, and we get to see all the different characters here. And I realized one thing I was really missing with the Alien comics that I didn't realize till now, is to actually see Ripley in a comic. We got to see Bishop in the first run of comics, and that was really cool. But I actually, I'm like, man, that's really cool to actually see Ripley there. She's not really the focus of the book. It's, of course, going to be Burke there. But it's cool to see her on paper. I hope the next What If is more Ripley-centered. But if you guys know the story, eventually the lights will go down, the aliens will come in, get a bit of an action sequence there, and Burke will run away. And of course, Burke will get overtaken by an alien, and he's going to wake up in quite a desperate situation there with the facehugger about to get him. Now, here's where the comic diverts. We get these two about to be overtaken, they pull a grenade and explode, but in this universe, their explosion was close enough that they were able to dislodge Burke, and he's going to run away. And we do get a little bit of a section kind of adding Burke alive into the movie. There he is with Hicks and Bishop there, kind of sneaking onto the dropship without them noticing. And then we get a fun section later on where he's right there while Ripley is fighting the alien queen in the power loader. However, he manages to stay hidden until everybody goes into cryosleep. And we get this bit where he talks to Ripley while she's asleep saying, "I'm really not that bad a guy." However, he has to call his boss, and the boss is going to be mad because Hadley's Hope blew up and they didn't get any samples, but he is going to try to strike a deal with his boss because, he might just leave him out in space if he doesn't think something up, but it's going to be this deal that he strikes that shifts the course of the story. And it's after that, and I didn't go super far into the book, because it's after that where it does diverge, but the divergence is something that happens well after the Aliens movie, so I kind of wish we got to see more wacky, different stuff within the movie itself, other than just Burke being photoshopped into the background. Okay, not really photoshopped, but drawn into the background. I kind of wish we got more stuff with the main plot of Aliens, but where it goes is very different and almost acts like a weird sequel to Aliens, and that's where it starts to go crazy, starts to go really different, and we get to see Burke having to atone for his situations, and it's a bit weird, but I do like that it goes different and kind of crazy. But yeah, no, I kind of wish we got more adventures with Ripley and the crew during the events of the actual movie. But I am curious where this book ends, just how off the rails and crazy it can get, because that's really what the what if stories are supposed to do. As it stands, though, it's pretty fun. I like that it's more connected to the movies, even though it's really not canon, but it's still a fun little adventure, and I can definitely recommend it for Aliens fans. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. Should be my Marvel's Alien playlist. If you want to see me talk a lot about the past books. You can find some stuff there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.